Hey, this is Raghee Horner, and we are going to take a look at what is going on with the pullback in the Dow today. I'm going to give you my 2 cents in terms of what I think is the major driver, and obviously I think that's the euro. The story in the euro continues to be pessimistic. Earlier this morning, the story with the euro was really the fact that the bond payments were going to likely be delayed or defaulted, or the bailout in general was going to be delayed. So, our concern is the bond payment. Are they going to make that March 20th deadline? Anything between now and March 19th is just supposition, but what's being discounted, what's being baked into the cake right now is that fear. And let's face it, from a market trend, market phase type attitude, this was a very fresh uptrend. Now, yes, we have the culmination of some bullish sentiment and bullish momentum trying to pull this pair higher, but the bottom line is any transition in a trend is always going to be susceptible to a exhaustion like we're seeing right now when it's not established, because you just don't have that dominant bullish psychology able to come in and step up and support prices. At the same time, let's face it, where are we on the weekly picture? We're looking at a lot of resistance at that 34 EMA low on the weekly chart. But I really want to talk about the Dow here in this video, and I ideally like to keep it short, so let's go ahead and tackle this Dow right now. Is this market in an uptrend? Yes. I look at the 12 to 2 o'clock angle of my 34 EMA wave, and quite frankly, yesterday's news out of Europe really stopped what was going to be a day like today. Let's face it, is today really anything more than what the Dow wanted to do yesterday? The Dow, I think, wants to correct. I think it wants to correct even lower than maybe this 20-period simple. This will be the first litmus test for the bulls to see if they're willing to really step up and support this level. They have in the past, so at least for now, I'm going to assume that what was once a dynamic support level will continue to be dynamic support, but it's my feeling that we are due for a much more sizable correction, and that does not mean that suddenly I'm going to be a bear. We have plenty of downside room to correct. In fact, if we take out this 20-period simple, that just means we're taking out a shallow support level in favor of what could be a much more substantial correction down to, say, the 34 EMA high, 12,654. Now, this is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. If you want to take a look at the futures, that's fine too. We could look at the YM contract. Same thing goes. If the 20-period simple gives way here, I'll be looking for a 34 EMA high correction. So I can be near-term bearish on the Dow, which I am. I do believe this is a market that needs to correct. Now, what does needs to mean? My evidence for this is the fact that we still can't maintain any kind of support above 12.9. Forget momentum north of 12.9. We just can't tackle it. And with the continuation of the congestion we've been seeing here, again, that's just telling me that the bulls aren't able to muster up enough momentum to push to higher highs. If that's the case, we're going to lose the momentum, we're going to lose the bullishness, and we're going to have a correction. A correction, though, not a reversal. I can't stress that enough, because if we do start sinking below today's, the current reading on the 20-period simple, I just think we're going to start hearing so much bearishness that it's going to sound like the sky is falling and that we're in for a reversal. I won't even entertain the idea of a reversal until or unless we get down below the 34 EMA low. So we're talking about 12,529, and then testing the 50-period simple at 12,434. Now remember, these are dynamic levels, so the values will in fact change. But keep an eye on that 34 EMA low. Keep an eye on the 50-period simple. This is where, at that point, we can discuss a transition in the uptrend and or a reversal of the uptrend. So could we be entering a period where we're actually going to start to trade in a range up near the highs? That's not out of the question. We could start to bounce around in this area. That's certainly something that we could see, and that would be a transition. It's not until or unless we break below, again, those aforementioned moving averages, that we start talking about any kind of move in a reversal type psychology. So are we ready for a little bit more sizable correction? I believe so. Is today's price action anything more than what I believe the market intended to do yesterday until that ridiculous news about the commitment being signed, which of course was unwound this morning. You know, can we have a piece of euro-related data that has a shelf life of more than 6 hours? That'd be refreshing. So we're doing exactly what I think the market intended to do yesterday. We're seeing it today. Perfectly healthy. Okay, perfectly healthy. Yes, the sentiment could actually accelerate to the downside if we break the 20-period simple. Don't underestimate the continued support at this level we've been seeing in the Dow. But in terms of my risk-on strategies, if we do have a more near-term sizable correction, I'll probably short-term wise start playing a little bit more of a risk-off-the-table approach until we find support in the correction. But for now, risk has been on the table. This is just a correction. I hate to sound like a skipping record, but we're just going to hear so much to the contrary if we break the 20-period simple. I want to establish where I think sentiment could accelerate and where I think we still are heading, which is possibly a correction and then maybe to higher highs and at some point a conversation about 13,000. We're not there yet, not by any stretch of the imagination, because we have yet to find any willingness to support 12.9, but please don't jump into a longer term risk off position. I think near term though, we can definitely start talking about risk off the table and just keep an eye on those headlines coming across the Atlantic regarding Greece. March 20th is the big date, and they're certainly going to have a lot of gyrations between now and then. If the news continues to be they're not going to make a decision about Greek bailout funds until after the April elections, yeah, we're going to see a lot more hurt to come, and that actually could be the catalyst for the correction that I think the Dow needs. And again, I still think we're going to maintain the uptrend as long as we're north of the 50-period simple.